I have decided that today I want to see if I can draft this dress. I don't want the sleeves today. I want that for a later dress. But I want a sleeveless little tiered dress, and I think that I also have two different materials that I want to do an overlay. Let me show you. Give me a second. So I want to take the silk stripe and put that under this one. I like how you can see the striping under it. And if I'm still having a see-through problem afterwards where I'm showing underwear and things like that that I don't like, I will get a solid slip that will go under all of this because I'll need a slip no matter what. But what I think I'm going to try to do, and you're going to have to do some 3D shaping in the head. When you do something like this and you have an inside and an outside, what I'm going to try to do is capture all of the seams on the inside of everything so that the edges of my armpits and my neck are going to be incredibly smooth. So I'm very excited about that. So let's see if we can draft this. Now, when I take a look at this, okay, I'm going to see if I can I zoom in? Oh, I can zoom in. That's so cool. Okay, here we go. Gosh, I hope everyone can hear me. When you're looking at this, it's going to take your base of view that we've dealt with many, many times, and this is your sloper of you. Now, this is a 1920 sloper, so we're going from the armpit to the hip, and we're sort of skipping the waist. I mean, it slightly, gently comes in here, but I promise you, my waist is actually more like here. So this has an illusion of in, but a straight tube down. Perfect for the 1920s. I would not use this sloper for any other decade, just this one. So if we take a look at this, and this would be the front, this is the front. It wants to do a V-neck. A V-neck, so we'll be taking from the top of here, going down, my B, that's, oh, haha, so sorry. Let's do that again. You're going to take from the arm, the A part, it'll come down. The B is in conjunction with right here, straight over. So this will be becoming a V-neck from here to probably right here. I'm going to eyeball it. This isn't going to be crazy necessary to do everything. Now, I'm also, since I'm not adding sleeves, I don't think that I actually want to change anything on my armpit. I think what I want to do is actually make a muslin because I'm a smart woman. So the first thing that I'm going to do is draw out the top of this to right here, the back of this to right here, put it together, see the muslin because I want to double check the armpit, the shoulder, and the neck. So let's begin. I'm going to back up, I'm going to get out a pen and a ruler, and you can see me in real time of what I do. Oh, look at that. Someone said, love vintage clothing and construction process. Me too. I think it's the neatest thing in the world. I absolutely love it. Okay. I'm going to put this over. This is my back. These are the little weights that I use. I asked my husband for little round metal things, and it just keeps everything from sliding and moving. All right, we have the front, and we have this. I'm not seeing anything right here that pulls it out or angles it odd, so I can put this on the straight edge of my paper. That's perfectly fine. And I'm going to scoot it all the way down with my paper because I can. I'm going to try to line this up just a little bit better. There we go. All right, so we're just going to line this up. Now that looks very nice. I'm going to trace the whole thing out in blue. I'm not going to make any changes. Not yet. I hope everyone is doing as well as I am. I am, I'd say, about 2.5 weeks out from my hysterectomy, and I am actually doing rather well. I am delightfully medically boring right now, and that is the way I hope everyone else is as well. Medically boring. Okay, I have my darts, I have my high hip, I have my bust apex, I've got my neckline, I have my shoulder, I have my armpit. And this is the front. Now let's take a look at this. It wants us to go, first of all, it wants us to go in by 3/4 of an inch. Now everyone, I don't know how long I'm going to last on my feet bending over. This one's a new one for me right now, but I'm sure that my body will let me know when I am, in fact, done. Oh, no, that's the neckline. I don't care about that. That's all gone. 3/4 of an inch in from A. So that's 1 inch. I should have my glasses on because I'm getting old and I'm getting, and that, okay, so that says 4.5 inches down from here. So at that point in time, better than that. Measure nicer. 1, 2, 3, 4.5 inches. And then from here to here. And if my shoulder has been in the way this entire time, I will find out on the opposite end of things, and I apologize. All right, we have a neckline. I'm going to scoot this very gently. All right. Shoulder moved in by 3/4 of an inch. Neckline dropped by 4.5 inches. This is now the neckline. This, if you take a look, is not actually squared. So when this comes in from this side to the other side, it's going to have a funky thing where it gets slotted in. But I'm not worried about that because I know that I'm actually going to be slipping this in as a tube and the other part is going to be sort of tucked in. I'll get to that. I'm actually thinking that I might try to sew this dress specifically completely live and see how everyone likes that. I don't know. Because I feel like experimenting with my show in general because it's fun. Okay, so moving on. So this is A. This is A. This is 2. That's 1. 4.5 inches down. There. Oh, that says corner 1. One moment. I need to check. When they talk about corner 1, I want to make sure that it was not on a curve. Oh, it is slightly on a curve. And that's how they get the just slightly. I'm going to end up banging into the camera that way. Give me a second. I'm going to grab my French ruler. Okay. Because I know I've done this before, but this is a nice little reminder. for the Haslam chart, for the Haslam patterns that I'm messing with. This is your standard French curve that you can buy today. And as you can see, corner 1, and I've marked it, that's corner 1. So, do we want to go more in like that? Or do we want to go in more like this? Now, that's an interesting concept. Now, I want you to imagine you're a person, like if that's my chest. Ooh, wait. I have a mannequin. Give me a second. I'm going to flip this around. Okay. Ooh, okay. There. And then we're going to flip. There we go. Okay. How's that? So like on the mannequin, do I want to have a perfectly straight thing, or do I want to have a little bit more of a rounding effect, or do I want it to come this way? Now, I think that it could be very dramatic to have that way. So that's what I'm going to do. Do I know that that's the right way to do it? No. Gonna do it anyway. Okay, let me switch this around. There we go. Okay, and now we're gonna come back. Ooh, there. Okay, so because I like the drama, actually, there we go. That's how we're gonna do it. It's only a little bit out, but it's just enough to make this interesting. Okay, that's the correct line that we're gonna go with now, just because. Okay, this wants 1/2 inch out right here, but this also has sleeves. This pattern has sleeves, which means that this area will always need a touch more than without sleeves. I'm gonna leave that because I'm gonna make a muslin, and I will adjust my shoulder and my armpit with the muslin, and then I am going to come back to this, or the other one. This is the back, but both of these, I'm gonna come back to both of these, and I'm gonna edit what I need on these two specifically to make this a sleeveless sloper. And then I'm going to write on here that this is a sleeveless sloper. And then I'm gonna come back and do this dress, or a dress very similar to it, again, but with sleeves. And then I'm going to make sure that I have a sleeve pattern that fits that perfectly. Why this dress? Well, this dress, this just has ruffling attached. This is very, very simply a tube with an open for your head. This neckline could easily change. This shape, however, this is about as standard as it gets. So I feel like if I could do this, I could really mess with things very quickly without worrying about making a muslin again and again and again, because I want to perfect this for the specifics of this even better. I'm very excited about this plan. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to review this again. 3/4 in, 4 1/2 down. We are ignoring the 1/2 inch out, and this is now 13 or 14 inches down. I wonder how much I actually have on my sloper. We now have the long ruler. We're going from the armpit all the way down. This is perfect. Armpit, high hip. I know that mark is really, really small there, but it's there. So from here to here is about 13 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to say that's perfect, and that's down to corner 1. You can see in the design that it wants it curved. I have that. I'm not going to mess with it. Then from that corner, that high hip, it's asking for 1/4 of the hip plus 2 inches because they want more of the material on the front than in the back, because that's what they want, that blousing over the belly area. That was the aesthetic. So, let me think. Let's drop a nice line here. Okay, I'm probably giving you a really good shoulder shot right here. Okay, there we go. Let's drop this line down. It's a perpendicular line off up there. And now this, let's back up. This is on fold, no seam allowance, no seam allowance on the fold. Here's your darting. I don't know why I was trying to do it the hard way or the lame way, because I have this right here and I can easily draw this in. All right, so that's the front. Let's cut this out. There. I'm just going to eyeball this. There we go. All right, this is the front. Let's do the back. All right, here we go. Back. All right, here's the back. Here's the dress. If we take a look at this, this just simply wants this to get pared down. This is going to be, geez, this is so simple. Oh, on my front, I forgot to mess around with the 1/4 hips plus 2. Okay. Hold up. All right, back to the front. Now let's do a little bit of math, see where we're actually at. Okay. I have 10 inches. Okay. 10 equals the hip. Now, let's bring out the clipboard. Maybe. All right, this, there, I apologize for the light. Okay, my neck, bust, waist, hips. I have a low hip, high hip, low hip. I'm going to, hold up. Okay, that was to the high hip, which is 36 and a half. So let's go 36 and a half. And my brain is still scrambling, so I need a calculator. Okay, 36.5, and on the front it said 1/4, so divide by 4 plus 2. They want 11. They want 11 inches in the front. Okay, this is 1 inch too small, and it's not going to provide the correct blousing in the front if I do it that way. So this is wrong. Let's fix this. I'm not going to try to trace this out. The changes that I made on this are so minimal that I'd rather go back to the original and just throw this one out. So let's try that again. I'm going to back that up so you can see this. Let's see if I can do this right. We're going to go for the high hip. I'm going to line this up. Line that up. Trace. 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 And down there. Now, hold up, wait. To 11. All right, this one's 11 right here. Now we're going from here to here. See how we're pulling out that entirety, because there's the line. There's the line from here, and now we're pulling it out because we pulled the hip out. There. I'm not too worried about where I draw my darts. I always put my darts more dependent on actual fit than anything else. Okay, now we're going to go 3/4 of an inch in, just like last time. And we're going to back that up to here. So 3/4 in, 4.5 inches down, taking the curve. And this is the front, on fold, no seam, no seam allowance. Okay. Don't forget, I do also need to put a curve in there. This is the where I usually eyeball it based upon original lines. And I'm gonna say that I actually liked that. I'm not going to keep all the way out. I'm going to actually drop this from the bust point down like that. I think that's better. I think that's going to look better, and I think that's going to fit better. Okay. Okay, I feel like that's going to add less in areas that will not look right if I add anything to it. This wasn't about the standards that we have today. This was about a very different standard and a concept and a different point of freeing when it comes to clothing. This was a very rebellious time period, but they were rebelling against what they were rebelling against, not what we are. All right, now that's the front, and now that is correct. Now let's move on to the back. All right, and that's the front. Here's our back, and if we take a look at the pattern, there's no deviation or changes off of the back line, so this can be on the fold, which is perfect. This drops down 3/4 of an inch, that drops down 3/4 of an inch, no change, no change. 1/4 of the hips less 1/2, and then curve. Let's see what happens. All right. There. All right. Line that up. Take your time when lining things up. This is the point that you could add in 1/2 inch, couple millimeters that just knock your design off. Take time on the creation of this. More sewing time is spent off the machine than on. Right, and there was the hip. That's the high hip point. There's nothing else for me to draw in, so this works. All right. Let's go ahead and drop in a perpendicular line off of the fold to the high hip, which would be right there. Now let's measure this. We currently have 9 1/4. 9 1/4. Okay, let's do a little bit of math. The back. Remember, my high hip is 36.5 divided by 4 minus 0.5. Why am I doing this? Because it says so. Because it says so. All right, so this is supposed to be, let's say, 8.6. I'm going to go, interesting. I'm going to go ahead and do 8.5. I don't like that. I don't like that. It makes the seams go back. It just doesn't, it's so weird because your side seam then is more back than in the front, and that is so strange. And there's no explanation for Haslam in general, but this seems to, and it's a very small Haslam sewing community. I mean, insanely small, the amount of people who are actually doing this. And it's so strange that they consistently push your side seam behind your side. I'm going to go with it because why not? I'm going to go to here, and then I'm going to take out my French curve, and I'm going to take a look at where my curves have been, and then I'm going to just sort of, where will it meet up the best? Oh, there. Oh, see, that's nice. You see how that just sort of mushed in there, and I started trying up here and it wasn't doing it. So I just kept sliding it down until, and I'm not worried about bringing it in because, well, quite honestly, this is just too big anyway. It's the 1920s and it's about here, and I've got waist to take in from. Okay, back on fold, no seam allowance. Okay, cool. Let's do this. Oh wait, we forgot to drop that down. That's not a problem. Okay, it just wants 3/4 lower in general. We can do that. That is not difficult. Alright. I like doing perpendicular on my shoulders, because it makes it much cleaner when you sew it. Okay, there. I've been bending over well. I need to stand up just a bit. Okay. Now I have some guidelines here, but none of them are written in stone, except for that dot and that dot. Everything else, I like having that quarter, that 90-degree angle right here. That's nice. Let's do something like that. And then just sort of put that out. I rather like that. Ooh, here we go. So as long as it's down, it's fine. And that will maintain a very easy shoulder assembly. Very clean, and clean is nice. Okay. Yeah. All right. I need to clean up this table and then bring out material for a muslin to sew this together. I haven't done this much in a very, very, very long time. So again, I'm just 2.5 weeks out from my hysterectomy, so I'm not exactly up and about that much yet. But that seems good. So I'm going to say, actually, I'm going to move a little bit slower, so if you're patient, you can stick around. Okay. All right, I've got pattern number 1. And I've got pattern number 2. And I am laying them flat. And I'm moving all of my rulers. I'm going to want this. I've got my pen. I've got that. Got that. Okay, maybe this wasn't as hard as I was thinking. That's always nice to find out. Okay. Why, yes, it is an old bed sheet. These are relatively thin patterns, like they're not requiring a huge amount. So I have now refolded this a couple of times, just trying to eyeball how I can fold this where it's the smallest amount possible. And I'm starting to think I probably should have ironed this just a little bit. That's what I would tell everyone here to do. But the parts that I'm looking at, I don't think are actually all that wrinkly. So, okay, let's go back down. All right, tie-dyed sheets as it go. And here's the front. Because I'm feeling fussy today, no. Not quite. Okay, no seam allowance here. Oof, phones. All right, I'm going to give myself a 1/2 inch of a seam allowance. And because this is a muslin, I straight out draw my cut lines, my seam lines, and give myself a very solid approach so that I am not confused about what I'm looking at or what's going on. This is where I want the messiest looking thing ever to give me as much information as possible. A nice 1/2 inch will more than do it. I will change the seam allowance on the real deal when I do a French seam, where I'm going to give myself probably a full inch of a seam allowance. But that's not necessary here, because that's not what we're doing. Okay. Now the one thing that I don't need a seam allowance for is the armpit, because the armpit, we are going to be dealing with a very thin fabric that I sew together and then reverse and then most likely top stitch or under stitch. Haven't figured that one out yet. I'll figure that out later. Either way, that has nothing to do with the muslin that I'm creating. All right. Let me think for a second and say it again to make sure before I cut it. I'm sewing here, I'm not sewing here, I'm sewing here. I'm not sewing here, I don't need a seam allowance there. That would be added in for when I do the reverse thing on the inside. Okay. All right, there's the front. Oops, so sorry. Okay, here we go. Let's do the back part now. Notice how I really put myself on top of the pattern when I'm getting this down. You don't, you really want that flush. That is a point to have perfection. Okay. No. curvy 1/2 inch. Okay. Okay, I'm going to sew the shoulder and the sides together, and we're going to see how it fits. Okay, so for the sake of not being complimented or complimented? How totally compliment me? Are you crazy? Okay, anyway, all right, this is the back. And we're going to find out if this can just go over the head, too. Hypothetically, it could. I'll know more in a second. That's possible. At most, I might go lower on the V. Okay. Okay, there are darts in that bust that if I don't iron that and sew them, this isn't, that's too many shortcuts to take. I've already taken enough. So, all right. Let's take a look at this. All right, I'm gonna draw that dart line in just a little bit better. And then I'm gonna take this, reverse it, and get those lines in there fairly perfect. Which looks like this. Okay, I've opened it up, I've laid it out, I flipped it around. There's no seam allowance here. I can see 1/2 inch here, I can see 1/2 inch here. This is the line that I'm really looking at. Excellent. Fabulous. All right. Let's back this up. The darts are done. I'm now doing the shoulders. The shoulders match up perfect. And second shoulder. All right, now we're going to match up the armpit to the armpit. Lay the dart down and sew down to the high hip on both sides. And then that's it. ran out of thread. Okay, I know, super, wow, I can't believe you guys are so patient. Wow. Okay. And let's use up that one. All right, let's see. Will this go over my head? Oh, it will. Okay, okay. I bet I can get the other part on. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and sew this and we're gonna see where we go from there. How exciting. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna step over there. I'm gonna try to slip this on over my head and we'll see what's going on. So you're gonna stare at a sewing machine with rapt anticipation. Okay, here we go. The answer is yes. I absolutely love the 1920s. You can just slip things over. And I'm gonna have a really hard time showing you what I'm seeing with any concept of modesty. So give me a second. Okay, I'm backing up, not enough. A little more. Okay, so here we are. This is what I've sewn. There is no zips, no snaps, nothing. This comes together, went straight over the head. I'm not offended by the bust. This drops down perfectly. This dart is in the right place. This is hitting the hips correctly. This would go directly over everything. The arm, oh my goodness. Wow, I have surprised myself. Past Nora did a really good job on the sloper, and now me gets to benefit from that. So, what you saw there, if you go all the way to the beginning, I, from a point on a piece of paper, used my sloper and created the front and the back to that dress. So, and now I have a muslin of it that says, "Ooh, yes, that's the correct thing. It is correct. It's fitting correctly." I am not at all worried about my arms. Okay, I'm gonna go back down because you're my mirror right now. so you can see where I'm at with my arms. And this is, I've always had a little bit of that, but that changes when I stand up versus that. I think that's a posture issue and not a clothing design issue. But if I, and then that actually, and then that's just gonna come down. I'm not gonna be able to cut that. Okay. And then this will blouse. That will blouse just fine. And I can feel the seams at my hips on the side. I'm not offended by that. And then we're gonna have plenty of fluff to be able to blouse. Okay, I'm gonna put my dress back on, and then we're going to think about exactly how to cut this out, because that's the next part of this, to figure out exactly how to get this to be a double layer one dress where we hide all the seams and we get to use sheer materials and somehow layer it all together so that you have a gorgeous dress. Okay. Give me a sec. Okie dokie, here we go. All right, now we have come to the part of my sewing adventures where I stare at walls a lot and eat candy. So pardon me for one. I'll have to get that later. I only make mistakes once. Okay. At least that's what I try to do. Alrighty, here we go. So this will be on the inside. And I have a lot of this. We are talking like 6 yards or so. And this one we have 2.5 yards. I want this on the outside, the stripes to be on the inside, which will show through on this, and I think that's beautiful. And then I will make a tie or any accessories that go with it to be the stripy stuff. All right, now I'm thinking. What I now have to do is basically make 2 of these, overlap it, give myself a clean edge here and a clean edge on the neck and the armholes. And now I'm playing 3D origami in my brain to make sure that I have what I need to sew first. If I actually made it and sewed 2 things like this and then slipped it over and I sewed And then you wouldn't be able to get out of, it's the shoulders. I've made that mistake before. So this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna cut out the stripes, and I'm gonna cut out the flower one. And then I'm going to do the darts on the front for both of them. I'm going to sew up the sides for both of them, and I will still have basically 2 bodice tops. Then I will sandwich them together, sew the neckline, and sew the armpit area. Then everything gets pulled out the correct direction, and what will happen is that the shoulder, one side will slip inside, the other that will then also tuck the raw edges in, and then everything gets sewn around. That's what's going to happen. Okay, let's make it happen. I'm sure someone's going, but wait, aren't you going to draft the rest of the pattern? Actually, I played around with this in my head at midnight, and I remembered, wait. I wanted to take the inside and actually drop that all the way down and have the ruffles actually attached to that. So this, with the stripes, needs to actually drop down to the bottom. Okay. I'm going to go down, and you get to see what happens next. Okay, the real question is, how long do I want this? Right under my knee. Let's go for right under my knee. I'm guessing 35 inches. That seems about right. Okay. So at that point, for this is very much a tube. That's not a problem because my hips will give me enough room to walk. That's not an issue. This is definitely the part that I need to think about more. I am going to do this. I'm going to call it. I put 70 minutes of actual sewing. And that's the most that I've done in weeks. I'm thrilled with my progress. I want to stare at this. I have a bodice, front and a back, that are absolutely going to work for this. I need to figure out how I'm going to put this skirt together. I was expecting more trouble with the bodice, quite honestly. I am thrilled with my prior work. Because I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to put the flounces in. So I want to work on this and I want to think about it. So until next time.